What happens when every company says they're purposeful? When everyone's talking about the good they're doing in the world? Will it become meaningless? I mean, when you think back to the green movement, at first it was a competitive advantage or a differentiator to say you were green, that you had green products. But then after a while, even disingenuous brands were sort of selling their products in Hessian sacks just to look like they were green, and it effectively became meaningless. And then after the green movement, we saw the rise of the sustainability movement, a more sophisticated expression of that sort of corporate responsibility. And now we hear about sustainable companies, sustainable products, sustainable supply chains. It's almost table stakes now in every industry. And by the same token, is that what's going to happen with purpose? Every brand will be saying they're purposeful, and therefore it's effectively meaningless in the marketplace. It falls deaf on the consumer's ears. But what I think is really happening is that each one of these different cycles or oscillations are expressions of the same conversation. And there's this beautiful expression by Martin Luther King Jr., which is, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And I think that's what's happening here. We are bending towards the original intent of marketing, which hopefully was to make a product or service that had a positive impact on people's lives. But we lost sight of that over decades of sort of media manipulation, when we got drunk on the power of media, that we could persuade people what to do, what to think, what to buy. And we layered on all these different sort of expressions of disingenuousness or inauthenticity or a lack of transparency. But now, thanks to the web, social media, and smartphones, consumers are forcing brands to peel those back to that original intent of making a positive difference in someone's life. And so I think what's coming after purpose is a discussion around being transparent. We're more transparent than the next company. And after that will be accountability. We're more accountable thanks to the tools and metrics that are now available. But all of those different conversations, from green to sustainable to purpose to transparency to accountability, they're all expressions of this longer story arc. And that's bringing us back to the original intent of making a positive difference in people's lives. And I know a cynic would say, listen, that all sounds great, but it's never going to happen. Brands always just want to line their own pockets to serve the bottom line. And I totally understand that point of view, but I'm optimistic for one reason: our survival instinct. During those previous decades when we layered on these, tools of disingenuousness and inauthenticity and manipulation, we were living in a world where we thought, effectively we had infinite resources on a planet that could support countless people. But now we're very aware that we live on a finite planet with finite resources, and that we're facing multiple crises like climate change and loss of biodiversity. And so the consumer base is different, and brands are aware that they can't survive in societies that fail. And so we're peeling back these layers at the same time we're acutely aware of the need to play a more responsible role as companies, as the private sector, because our very survival depends on it. And so what's going to happen after every company becomes purposeful? We're going to be talking about transparency, accountability, and different expressions of the same conversation.